Welcome back, music people. It is Make the Music, and today we're going to be doing a video on how to properly layer your drums, specifically if you're using something like Easy Drummer. I'm using Easy Drummer 3 in this video, but also if you're using a recorded kit, proper layering of your drums to get a nice big full sound is really going to be an important part of a modern production, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So for example, I have this song here that I'm currently working on for an album, and I'm going to show you proper percussion and kick and snare sample layers to really help the drums build throughout the song, but not become too noticeable that they sound overly programmed or anything, but proper sound design of these samples and then inclusion with what I'm considering my bass kit to really get a great drum sound that really is punchy, but it feels full. There's bottom, there's top end, and it cuts through the mix, but is not too overbearing. So let me share with you a section here. This is near the end of the song, and this is what the final drum sound with sort of all the layers I have right now sounds like. So let's hear that. Okay, so that's everything put together, and we have my main kit. I have a kick sample, I have a couple snare samples, one's kind of a clap sample, and some percussion layers here. I just want to share with you what my thought process was for layering these different drum sounds to get that full sound that I got in the final mix here. So for example, if I muted all the extra percussion layers, this is what we would have gotten in that final chorus. So like, there's nothing technically wrong with that, but it just does not feel as full. I'll solo the drums this time as full as when I added the samples, yet they still sounded natural. So here is the samples removed. All right, I mean, sounds pretty good. I'll show you here. I'm using Easy Drummer 3, which is a great program, okay? But the kits don't always sound as full or punchy as I want them, but the main sounds are great, obviously, right? And so I use this all the time, and I use this a lot as like my bass kit. Like, here's my starting point when I'm writing grooves. This is what I'm using. But when I finally get to a final mix, sometimes I want to end up using, or sometimes in the production phase like I'm doing here, where I really want to get the song to a good finishing point before I even think about mixing the thing. There's just one sound for each. This kick and snare, they sound good, but it was just not quite enough to give me that full sound I was looking for. So here's just the drums. And let me add in these layers back in here. So what I added, let me show you what I added here. So I have the main drum sound. I'll slowly add these elements in. I added this kick sample here. This is a kick sample that I have created. If you want a video on how to create your own samples, just leave in a comment down below and I'll show you my process for that. But this is what I call the WW kick, or Wonderful, Wonderful Kick. I kind of based off the kick on that Killers album, right? Was kind of the inspiration for that one. So it's really static, right? So we can't just have samples, because if we just had samples, the drum sound does not sound very realistic, doesn't sound that live. But if we add samples in, which are just very consistent and unrelenting, they tend to have a lot of top and bottom. It really helps fill out the rest of the drum sound. But like I said, if we just had the samples, the drum sound would sound like an electronic kit, right? We don't want that. So adding in that kick sample, that really helped. This was a snare sample that I added here. And this is a really, it almost feels like a snare hit and a clap at the same time, but it's really good. And it's got a nice room sound, a nice stereo room sound. And so that really complemented the drum sound well. Then I have this clap sample here. Sounds like a really low tuned, maybe Lindrum-ish sound that I got going there, and so it really helped complement the snare that was just missing a lot of bottom from my natural Easy Drummer kit. Now what I added here that a lot of people forget about is these percussion sounds. And so what I've done here is, if you own something like Easy Drummer 2, Easy Drummer 3, it is so simple and easy to add these percussion layers to your arrangements, and it does a world of difference. So you just add them subtly in. I have a tambourine here. Like that's really quiet right there. And then I think I have a shaker in the left channel here. And I just have them playing different rhythms, and this is all part of the arrangement. So the tambourine was playing a little faster rhythm, the shaker was going a little slower, but they kind of complement each other to fill out the stereo imaging of the drum sound, and then it just gives it some movement. If you listen to a lot of records, they're gonna have different tambourine and shaker layers or other forms of percussion panned in the arrangement. It just takes it that little extra step that makes it sound professional, really helps fill out the arrangement. So let me play the whole thing again. And you can hear those percussion layers, and then let me take those out just so you can hear what they sound like. It just adds that little extra bit of energy. It's really subtle, and you can see that through proper arranging, because arranging is super important. You can see that would be sort of the next step of this, is you don't want to put all your samples up front. So notice I don't have all the kick and snare sample, or the snare sample and the 2 percussion samples going during the whole song. I actually add one near the end to make it feel bigger. So you really want to use proper arrangement with this. For example, there are no shaker and tambourine layers until I get to about the second pre-chorus heading into the second chorus, and then that last snare sample doesn't show up till I have a guitar solo and then the third chorus. So really layering it to make the song build and get bigger as it goes along is an important part of this as well. So I'm going to play this one last time, all the layers added and all of them taken out here. So here's all the drums playing. So you can see it just makes a night and day difference. And really important with this is less is more with proper sound design. You want to pick the right sounds. It's better to have one good kick sample sound that you're layering with your main kick as opposed to 3 crappy ones that sort of overlap and don't accomplish anything. I only have 1 kick sample and it got the job done with the existing kit I was working with. This I felt needed maybe 2 snare samples, but I always try to keep it on the minimalist side. It's easier to balance, it's easier to phase align. You start layering 6 or 7 samples, I mean, people do it, but things start to get really tricky at that point, especially when it comes to velocity layering and fills. Things start to get out of control fast. And the same thing is with the percussion. Less is more with proper sound design and sound choices. If you're using something like Easy Drummer 3, that comes stock with great sounds already. And really, it's about picking which ones fit your song the best. For me, I just need a little more heft in my drum sound, right? It's just a preference of mine. There's nothing wrong with the original kit. It's just what I wanted. And then picking the correct percussion sounds, layering it at the appropriate time of the song really helps build the whole thing up and give it the sound I'm looking for in this song. So I hope you found that video useful. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. What kind of sampling do you use in your songs? Do you add any drum samples at all? Is it a bunch of sampling? Let me know your strategies down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Get back to making music.